What's your process in figuring out these details? I mean, do you pore over books at the Strand? Do you...
Well, first I'd have to stress, I mean, this is an intensely collaborative process. I mean, this is not, there's no one architect, there's no one designer, there's no one visionary. It's a very much like the production of a film. I mean, everybody brings something to it. It's one of the most, and that's what I find so enjoyable. It's a totally collaborative thing. But it typically starts for me with creating some sort of narrative, you know, of envisioning a storyline.
Tell us one.
Well, for example, not to pick on this, but let's say that we take the downtown Standard in Los Angeles. I don't know how many of you have been to it, but it is a building that was built in the late 50s as a private headquarters of the Superior Oil Company, which was the largest oil company, private oil company in America at one time before it was bought by Mobil. It was built by the Keck family, which is still, after the Getty Foundation, the largest philanthropic foundation in the United States, in California. And that building had this kind of corporate feel to it. It was a corporate headquarters, and it was located in the downtown area of Los Angeles, which most people had ignored for many years. It was not a, that's where all the banks were, the law firms. It was felt too much and stiff, and it had been largely dormant. So we thought we would create sort of a narrative of a company called Standard Holdings, a sort of a James Bondian kind of corporate entity. We even sort of knocked off a Giaponti sort of map on the wall that looked like it had the company's holdings all around it, like a big international conglomerate, but with sort of a dark side to it. And we sort of imagined people like John DeLorean, you know, with these sort of very chic kind of, there's a moment in time of sort of being a corporate person like that, had sort of a slightly dangerous, nefarious feel to it. And we sort of started to create a vernacular all around that feel, you know, building on the location, which was deeply corporate, and we had to subvert it to make it interesting. And then we had a building that was, I mean, in its detail, it's like Rockefeller Center, because it's stainless steel handrails going down with fire stales because the chairman liked it. So it has like this kind of extravagance that we sort of started to build upon and created a story, and it just went on and on and on and on to the graphics, to the room numbers and everything else.
And you had a story at the Raleigh too. That has a...
The Raleigh is, it's each place. I mean, there becomes a story, a personality, because I think a good hotel, or a hotel that distinguishes itself from all the lodging experiences that we're offered every day. A good hotel is like a good host. You know, there's a quirkiness to it. Nobody wants, there's no formula. You want to go and sort of feel like you've been embraced by a unique individual.
So now you've worked with Jean Nouvel and Chick Luckman and Todd, who's right here in the audience, and Lindy Roy. So these are all kind of sharp architects. They're not the usual, you know, flavor of the month. What do you look for in an architect when you're, you know?
Well, I think it's whoever can best participate in this team to bring something unique to the dialogue that will ultimately result in an end product.
And are you always looking for new architects too, or you were at one point were thinking of doing a Standard in London? Is that still, or
we've been trying to buy things and always sort of outbid on by either the Russians or the hedge funders, but things are looking very good now.
They are. Yeah. So it's a brand. The Standard in particular, is that a brand you want to continue?
Yes, we'd like to.
Yeah.
Along with the other hotels, the smaller hotels like the Mercer and the Chateau, we're doing another one like that in London now.
You often have these really quirky details, like almost beyond the pale quirky details. The Hammam with the DJ at the Lido, the Standard, the tattoo parlor, I think, in the downtown LA, and the performance artist, also downtown LA.
Right.
The Hammam with the DJ, that kind of perplexed me the most. But what's going on with that? And the pool, of course, that was at QT,
Right.
in the bar. But and I think there's going to be a jacuzzi up here with the bar up here. So that's this Sybarite side of you. What's that all about? And are you going to grow out of it, or is it going to always?
No, look, I think a good hotel is always taking you someplace else. You know, Holiday Inn used to have this slow...
The quarters with the beds that show...
No, well, that too. But they had this saying that, you know, the best surprise is no surprise. I don't think that's... you know, that was the philosophy why, you know, sort of Ritz-Carlton, or not Ritz-Carlton, but they would... you know, Holiday Inn would decorate a hotel in Berlin in the same fashion as they decorated in Boston, because the idea was, after the uncertainty of the Second World War, you know, the more familiarity you had, the better. So rooms would be decorated around the world in the same size, same decor, everything. I think, you know, our culture's evolved, and I think it goes through a cycle at least every decade at a minimum. We believe that the best surprise is a good surprise, and you know, making it a good surprise means you have to be safe about it. But then you really don't want to be at home. You go to a hotel, I mean, the whole joy of being in a hotel is that you're not at home. You want to feel as safe as you are at home, but then the last thing you want to do is feel like you're at home. You want to feel transported and have something fun. So all of these little things that make you smile, that make you feel sexy, that make you playful. These are all things that are deliberately engineered into the experience. You know, to me what's fascinating about hotels is that every extreme of human behavior sort of plays out in a hotel. You know, there are more affairs, there are more suicides, there's more, you know, it's just sort of, people act out their human instincts in a hotel, in good hotels.
Yeah. Now, let's move a little sort You've had a pretty checkered career yourself. I mean, it's quite an interesting backstory. Talk about backstories. Your own is pretty fascinating. And, I mean, you went to journalism school, and then you were thinking of being a sculptor for a while, and then got very interested in RISD, in furniture. But the one I love the most is Biomatrix. And so a lot of people might not know about, you know, your company with your father, so I thought it'd be fun if you kind of retell that story. And
well, you know, looking back on it, I was very interested in sculpture and furniture design at one point, in architecture, and then I became very interested in journalism, and I went to journalism school.
What happened there?
You know, I started 2 newspapers and a magazine while I was in college, and then went to Columbia, and then I worked for, you know, a professional politician in New York, and you know, I was always interested in both creating something from nothing, you know, in terms of sculpture or architecture, and then I was always very interested in starting businesses, which I'd always started, and I finally was very interested in the narrative and the story, which is the journalistic side. I did start a bioengineering firm and ran it for about 12 years with my father, and it was really about wanting to start that kind of business, and also wanting to work with my father.
Yeah. What did it do exactly?
We made biomaterials. Most of the products, for example, now if you get cataract surgery, chances are you get it with this material called Iovine that's used as a buffer during surgery. It's a biologically inert material that's used now in almost all eye surgery around the world. It's used as a replacement for synovial fluid if you have arthritis. It's used for cosmetics. It's used for burn treatment. It's a very ubiquitous, very successful product.
I love it when you talk biochemistry. It's such a switch. Now, Donald Albrecht described you as a tastemaker building a nexus out of your own life. And so I'm wondering how much of your own life you do put into these stories about place, and how, you know, as you grow older and mature and stuff like that, inevitably, what do you think your interest in the hotel experience will change as well?
Yeah, I think it has, actually. I mean, to me, look, we all spend so much time doing what we do, and I've always tried very hard to make my personal life and my business life blend.